After finishing God of War Ragnarok, I would say that most God of War fans had two questions regarding the story. Number 1, what was up with the mask and the rift? And number 2, who the Hades blew the horn? Now I gotta say that we might have spent a little bit too much time talking about who blew the horn. Instead, we should have been focusing more on the rift and the mask, since it seemed more important at the time given that it was talked to death in the game and we never got an answer as to what or who it was behind it. Now, I of course made a video on the topic expanding on a previous theory I had made years back where I officially began campaigning for the higher plane of existence to be addressed in this series somehow. The video in my opinion is one of the best I've ever done, and to this day I would say that I believe everything I say in that video, with the exception of one thing: the ending. Hopefully he's trying to acquire more power to bring a war against the gods who kicked him out of the higher plane of existence. And much like the gods there, the Demiurge could also be recruiting evil gods like Odin and Zeus to fight by his side, leading to an all-out war between the higher plane of existing gods against the Demiurge and his armies. Overall, this whole section gives the theory a sense of impending doom. The forces of good versus the forces of evil in an end-of-the-world-like battle with gods and humans at the center of it all. This is something I can no longer believe, because my friends, this war has already begun, and we didn't even notice. Now, I can't just jump into this theory without first giving you a quick refresher on my previous theory on the matter. Of course, I recommend you watch the full video so you can get a fuller understanding of it, but just in case you don't, I'll quickly go over the basics here. In my theory, the world of the gods isn't the most powerful one in the universe. Above them, there's a realm I like to call the higher plane of existence. This realm is full of benevolent gods who are responsible for everything good in humanity. In addition, I also believe that this realm also gives home to dead gods who led an exemplary life in the world below. So far, we only know of Athena and Thoth from the Egyptian pantheon. Now, parallel to this world, there's also a realm of evil, a realm of chaos. This realm is responsible for everything that has gone wrong with humanity: greed, hate, and war. Now, we're not exactly sure who lives here. So far, what we know about this place is that it houses an evil entity that has tried to make contact with the world below multiple times. And Santa Monica has given this entity a special way to signify its presence: a glowing neon green color. This is the color that Athena from God of War 3 was sporting, and it was also the same color in the rift in God of War Ragnarok. This means that these things aren't that important. What's important is the entity that controls them. These are merely masks the entity wears when interacting with the world below. For Kratos, it took the shape of Athena, the only deity on Olympus that cared about him. And for Odin, this entity promised him knowledge, something he always craved. Congratulations, you are officially caught up with everything you need to know about my theory. Now, why did I decide to make this video today? Well, like I said at the beginning of the video, I no longer think the war between the higher plane of existence and the chaos realm is yet to start. I believe this war has already begun, and it happened right under our noses, in the Fallen God comics. Now, if you don't remember, these comics were somewhat controversial with the fanbase. When announced, many fans thought that we would get answers as to how Kratos got to Scandinavia, or how it's possible for the Blades of Chaos to be back in the series. None of these questions were answered. Instead, we get a story of Kratos wandering through Egypt while the god Thoth and Athena lectured him about destiny. Now, I have to be fair and say that the comic itself wasn't that bad. For one thing, this was the first time Santa Monica was confirming the existence of a realm that resembled the previously rumored higher plane of existence. And it was also very exciting to finally see the first Egyptian god in the God of War series. But despite all of its good things, many fans were still disappointed with the comics. Mostly because the theme of Kratos facing his destiny in Egypt simply meant that he had to kill two very oversized animals. Something that didn't seem very impressive given that Kratos had killed much more powerful creatures in the past. But is this true? Could we have possibly misunderstood this encounter Kratos had in Egypt? Or even the whole story of Fallen God? I believe we have, because I now see that the story of Fallen God isn't necessarily about Kratos so much as it is about the higher plane of existence and the Chaos Realm fighting over Kratos. And this is showcased at the very beginning of the comic. When Kratos wakes up from his self-inflicted death, he realizes that he will never die. This is the first curse Kratos learns about in the comic. But not much longer after, Kratos is introduced to yet another curse. No matter what he does to them, the Blades of Chaos will never leave his side. And the whole comic is about Kratos learning to embrace both of these curses. But who or what gave Kratos these curses is still a mystery. We never got an answer. Or did we? While the comics never give a definitive answer, I think if we look between the lines, the answer becomes clear. Kratos' immortality curse was given to him by the higher plane of existence. This is why every time he passes out or dies from exhaustion, he goes there. And whenever he gets there, Athena tells him that he needs to return home to fulfill his destiny, aka come back to life. These are the gods that have always watched over Kratos because they know he will do great things in the future. But just like there's one side that wants to use Kratos as a force for good, there is another side that wants to use him for destruction. This would be the Chaos Realm. And it is this realm that is responsible for the other curse Kratos is introduced to in Fallen God, the Blades of Chaos. The reason the Blades of Chaos follow him is because this Chaos Realm knows that they have been responsible in the past for causing chaos and destruction, hence the name Blades of Chaos. So whenever Kratos gets rid of them, this realm always brings them back in the hopes that he will continue his path of destruction. I know this can be confusing since we see Athena tell Kratos to embrace the blades in the comic itself, but I think this is because she knows that they will eventually be useful to him even though the Chaos Realm wants to use them for evil. But hold on, I'm sure you're asking yourself a very important question. How come we never get to see this Chaos Realm in the Fallen God comics? How come we're only introduced to the higher plane of existence? Well, my friends, what if I tell you that the Chaos Realm was present in the story of Fallen God? We just didn't notice. Have you ever noticed what the Egyptian villagers called the crocodile and the hippo Kratos has to fight? They call them Chaos Beasts. This name always bothered me because we have never seen the term Chaos Beast in this series before. And it made it clear that whatever these Chaos Beasts weren't part of the Egyptian pantheon. They were their own thing. And because we had never seen this term used before, it made it seem like these creatures weren't important, just random big animals. But in this video, I want to argue that this isn't the case, because these creatures are clearly from the Chaos Realm I've been talking about in this video, the one responsible for Athena in God of War 3 and the Rift in God of War Ragnarok. But what's the proof for this theory? Remember when I said that Santa Monica has chosen the neon green color to signify the presence of the Chaos Realm? Well, what if I tell you that the Chaos Beast's eyes share the same color with Athena and the Rift? But hold on, maybe the comic artist just accidentally chose the green color without thinking too much about it. Also, just because someone has green eyes, it doesn't mean that they are necessarily from the Chaos Realm. But it isn't just the green color that's odd, it's also the fact that the eyes glow. In one of the panels where Kratos is fighting the crocodile, you can see the green glow reflected on the crocodile's face. And even better is what happens after the creatures die. Remember when I said Athena and the Rift were just masks worn by the evil entity that lives in this Chaos Realm? Well, it's the same thing with these creatures. These were just regular creatures that lived in the Egyptian pantheon, but their minds were warped when this evil entity took over them. How do I know this? Well, when these creatures die, their eyes stop being green and simply revert to their normal color. This happens because the evil entity in the Chaos Realm no longer needs them. Now you see why the story of Fallen God is more important than we thought. This was the first time we saw the higher plane of existence fighting against the Chaos Realm. But let me tell you something. This wasn't the first time. This battle between the two realms has been going on since the very beginning of time. Now, during the Greek saga, the Chaos Realm was winning this war because Kratos was chaos itself.
Freed from the bondage of Olympus and cleansed in chaos, mankind is now ready to hear my message.
But around the end of God of War 3, this battle began to turn in the favor of the higher plane of existence. This is because Kratos began to question his desire for revenge. And this finally explains the mystery with the Blades of Chaos. You see, whenever I bring up the question of how the blades keep coming back to Kratos, people say that it's because they are cursed. And I get that, but that isn't the issue with the blades. The issue with the blades is that they only started to follow Kratos after the events of God of War 3. Remember, he lost them during the final fight with Ares, but the blades didn't return to him during the events of Ghost of Sparta, God of War 2, and God of War 3. Why is it that the blades only started to follow Kratos after God of War 3? With this theory, we finally have an answer. It's because during the events of Ghost of Sparta, God of War 2, and God of War 3, Kratos was on a path of chaos and destruction. He didn't need the Blades of Chaos. If he wanted to, he could have ripped Olympus apart just using his hands. The Chaos Realm only created the curse after Kratos began to change his ways.
I told you, it was empty. Pandora was sacrificed in vain. She died because of my need for vengeance.
They didn't want him getting too close to the good side, if you will, so they cursed the Blades to follow him in the hopes that they would anger him, which would bring him back to the Chaos side. But as it stands right now, the Chaos realm has not been very successful. Instead of bringing destruction to the pantheons of the world below, he's bringing order to them. This means in the upcoming sequels, this battle between the higher plane of existence and the Chaos realm will intensify even more. There's going to be gods that will side with the higher plane of existence, while there will be others that will side with the Chaos realm. The war for the world has already started, and Egypt has already been swept into it. It's not a question if they'll attack, it's a question of when. Okay, so I just want to say that if you still found this video somewhat confusing, I don't blame you. Like, this theory in and of itself is a little bit confusing to get, but I also once again recommend you watch the previous video that I go a lot more into it. That way you can understand this one better. It is my last plugin. If you don't watch it now, that's fine, but I still recommend you watch it. Now, as always, I want to give a big thanks to all of my members for supporting this channel monthly. If it wasn't for you guys, none of these videos would ever get made, so I really hope you know how much I appreciate you guys. I love you. Here's a kiss. Now, I would also like to thank everyone who likes and shares my videos. I know it doesn't seem like much, but if it wasn't for you guys, my channel would have never been discovered. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And with that said, thanks for watching. And remember, go forth in the name of Olympus.